Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. And let's dive straight into it. Is the Nintendo Switch 2 going to be hard to get? And if it is hard to get, how hard to get is it going to be? Brace yourselves for this. I do think it's going to be hard to get, but I have evidence to show you, which is also going to help me tell you how hard to get it's going to be. Now, is this going to be as hard as like the PS5 when that console came out? Well, let me explain. And I'm going to be using Nintendo themselves as my source. So this is things they said on public record at their shareholders meeting, so to their investors. And if you appreciate me using the actual source instead of just speculating, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because seriously, it helps me out a ton just hitting a thumbs up. I know it's kind of annoying, but if you did it, I'll be very grateful. Oh, and remember, the pre-orders are going to be happening on either April 2nd or 9th. And check out this video if you want to know why that is, or if you want to know if you're able to pre-order in store, in person, check that video out, but it will pop up again at the end of the video if you want to watch this one first. So the good news is that Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa said at a Q&A meeting with shareholders that the best way to stop the scalping of the Switch 2 is to make enough of them in the first place. He is also considering whether Nintendo can take other measures taking into account the circumstances of each region. So what does he mean by other measures? And based on the first part of his sentence where he said that they're taking it very seriously to stop scalpers, I'm thinking the other measures are something to make it harder for scalpers to buy. And the only thing that I think that could be related to is having a Nintendo account. Because yes, a scalper could have a Nintendo account, they could make multiple Nintendo accounts, but it's going to make it significantly more difficult for scalpers to stockpile these systems and be able to mass order them if it's a limit of one per Nintendo account. The problem with that is Nintendo has no say how the other retailers sell them, so most people aren't going to buy it directly from Nintendo. They're going to buy it from GameStop, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Amazon, whatever. And Nintendo has no control over how those retailers will choose to sell it. So on paper, that sounds nice, but how many units are Nintendo themselves going to be selling compared to the other retailers? Another positive, though, is Nintendo has also mentioned that in past years, even late into the Switch's life cycle, like 21, 22, there were chip shortages, and that is definitely no longer the case now. So even though the Switch 1 sold out late into its life cycle every holiday season, just even a couple of years ago, that's a 5+ year old console still selling out during the holidays. A big part of that was the chip shortage. You do kind of have to take these comments with a grain of salt because it is at a shareholders meeting, and the primary purpose is to help investors not only feel confident, but so confident that other investors are also attracted. So they have to kind of put on this thing to make it look like, you know, they're going to have the best launch ever without actually saying that, because the one thing they definitely cannot do is overpromise and underdeliver. But if they make these statements that are technically true and make it sound like the launch is going to go great, then if they are super hard to get and they sell out right away, Nintendo didn't say anything untrue. And at the end of the day, that's going to kind of make them look good too. Their product is so unbelievable, they can't keep it in stock. So it's kind of a win-win for Nintendo. However, they really are invested in making sure real gamers get the console, because it is way more important to Nintendo that the people that buy the first Switch 2s buy a lot of software. They actually buy the games. And if scalpers are just hoarding these things and waiting till someone pays them top dollar before they sell it, Nintendo's not selling any games. And again, they want to make their investors money. They want to make sure real gamers are getting these consoles. So they actually care, and they do have incentive to make sure that they're not all scalped. That being said, there's only so much they can do. One industry analyst has said that he heard, and this seems to be widely accepted, that the Switch 2 will have somewhere between 6 to 8 million units at launch, and it's looking like it'll be closer to 8 million than 6, which is actually almost twice as much as the 4.5 million PlayStation 5 units that were available at launch. Well, let me ask you this. Was the PlayStation 5 easy to buy after 1 month? Was it easy to buy when there was 8 million? If there had been twice as many PS5s on launch day, do you think that would have made it that much easier? And that's what I mean where this is complicated, where I think Nintendo has done the best job they can. They've made as many as they could. They've stockpiled them up. I think they've gone all out. I don't think this is Nintendo's fault at all. But the thing is, they have 8 million consoles to sell to 150 million customers that bought the Switch 1. Even if less than 10% of Switch 1 owners want to Switch 2 at launch, it's going to sell out. I created this graph that I wanted to show you guys. If you look at the PS5 in year one total, it sold 18 million units, and it was impossible to get. So Nintendo would have to make way more than that to satisfy demand. Because keep in mind, when the PS5 came out, the Xbox Series came out as well. So at least there was something else selling. So if we combine the sales of the Xbox and PlayStation 5, we're looking more at 25 million. Nintendo's never been able to make that many consoles in a single year. So even though Nintendo's doing so much better than the PS5 and the Switch 1 with how much stock they had at launch, the problem isn't something that's their fault, and that is there is too many people to make it feasibly possible for this not to be hard to get. Because the thing is, even though it sounds like they have a great head start with 8 million, that's 8 million units that they've been making for months and months. It's not like they're gonna have another 8 million units every month. They can't do that. The best they could do with almost a year to prepare was 8 million. So for that reason, your best chance to buy a Switch 2, even if you don't want one right at launch, even if you're willing to wait, your best chance is actually during the pre-orders, because that's when the most amount of stock will be available. And there will be lots of people with the mindset of, oh, I'll wait, it'll be easier later. However, the problem with a launch like this at this time period is it's actually going to be harder the longer you wait. Not only because there's going to be less stock available, but the demand is going to go way up as we get closer to the holiday season. Remember, the Switch 1 sold out every Christmas, even when it was 5 and 6 years old. And sure, the semiconductor shortage comes into play there. There's no way a brand new Nintendo console coming off of the Switch 1 is not going to sell out the holiday season. So if you don't mind when you get a Switch, that's great. Just try every time they go up for sale. So during the pre-orders, try every time. If you don't get it, oh well, we'll try the next time. Because that's just giving you more chances. Because if one of those work out, then you don't have to worry about it later on. And if it doesn't work out, you just keep trying, but not going all in. Remember, if you follow both myself on Twitter and Lbot on Twitter, anytime there's a pre-order or a restock, we will tweet it out right away. So if you're following us with notifications on, we will help you. And when I have inside information of when certain retailers like Target are going to restock, I'll also have a live stream where I start like an hour ahead of the restock so I can bring everyone in, answer your questions, and prepare you. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to buy your Switch 2. I'll also be reacting to the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and staying live in case pre-orders happen during the Direct. So make sure you've got me open on a tab on April 2nd as well. So I do think the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna be very hard to get, despite Nintendo doing the best they possibly can to prepare. I hope it's easier to get than what I'm expecting. I hope it's as easy as possible, but that's my realistic prediction. So make sure you're subscribed with the bell, and if you could do a little clicky click on the like button, that would be appreciated. Here's that video I said would come back up on screen in case you want to figure out why the pre-order date is April 2nd or April 9th. And I'll see you guys on my stream very soon. Finger guns are coming back. Ooh.